Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Business Unchained. I'm your host, Tumelo Joa. This is a show where we discuss all things business, including the economy, finances, entrepreneurship, you name it. Now, before I introduce our special guest today, let's check out what's happening in the world of business, both locally and internationally. Welcome back to Business Unchained. Today we are discussing all things media with no other than Tebatso Kgakge, PR and media practitioner. The Fixer. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, before we get started on your journey, can you please tell us or tell the audience at home, who is Tebatso Kgakge in a nutshell?
Yes. Tebatso Kgakge is a young girl from Botswana. My home village is in Malapolole, but I grew up in the city. I have two siblings and a little bit too many. I currently live between Gaborone and Maung. I run a very small business in PR, media, and events management. And I've currently also gone now into tourism, hospitality, and event administration and support.
And you call that a small business?
Yeah, it's very small. It's very small.
All right.
Yeah.
Now tell us, how did your media practicing and public relations start?
I studied in the University of Johannesburg. I went there. My mom thought I was going to do banking. We were so sure that I was going to be this banker. And then when I got to university, I met this lady called Cloney Ireland, and we were like at orientation, and she was big and vivacious, and she was just like da da da. And I'm like, who's that lady? And I went there, and she was orientating about PR, and I just fell in love. And I signed up for PR, and I never turned back and didn't become a banker. And that's what I studied. I was there for 4 years, and then I came back to Botswana, and luckily got a job in media production, and that's how my journey started.
And then did you fall in love with media then, or was it just one of those things where you're like, seems easy, I can do it?
Ooh, no, it's not easy. It's not easy. I just liked it because at my core, I'm a storyteller. So whether it's telling stories of others or others telling me their stories, I'm a storyteller. So
All right.
I just fell in love with it.
So yeah, and then what happened from then on? This after you coming from South Africa, right?
Yes.
Into Botswana?
Yeah, when I was in South Africa, I obviously worked, I'm workaholic, kind of, trying not to. Yeah, no, I try not to. So when I was in Joburg, I worked on campus.
Yeah.
And then I worked for Trinity Entertainment, which is an entertainment company, obviously. And then while I was there, I was still working with some music artists in Botswana. So that's where the PR journey started. I was studying PR, but doing PR for V's, Gaz, those kind of guys.
And it's funny enough because that blind. And I get this from people who are actually successful that worked with you.
Yeah, I guess I am. I think I take my work very seriously.
How long were you working in the media space?
About 5 years.
5 years? Any highlights there?
Too many.
There's gotta be one mammoth one.
Oh gosh, it's gotta be, I think.
It could be your first day, it could be somebody you worked with.
I think it was, not because he's a celebrity, but it was working, yes, two highlights. My first highlight was working with Quincy Combs and, totally forgot his name now.
Quincy Combs, Sean P. Diddy Combs' son?
Yes, him. And I think that was my
That's
first.
major.
That was my first interaction with international, like an American celebrity. But I was amazed at how we connected as normal human beings. It's my job, he's here, we're hosting him, but we really connected on a level that I found that it was amazing for me, because we just connected like one human being to another.
So it was like New York meets Malapolo, like
exactly, but it wasn't like, oh, you're from New York, you're better than me, and I'm from Malapole. No, it was literally just two human beings on earth meeting and doing some work together and realizing that I live in Africa, you live in America, but we're pretty much one person.
All right. And this was before you started your business, right?
Yes.
All right. So how long have you been actually operating your business now?
I left my media job in 2013, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 2013? Yes, in 2013. So that's about 6 years. But boy, did I have a lot of hurdles. And I registered my business in 2016. But I feel like I'm only getting into business now.
Mm-hmm. You know how they say it takes two years up until the wheels start rolling traditionally.
To be quite honest, I was young. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no business leaving my job.
So you call it a leap of faith, would you say?
Yes, it was a leap of faith, and it taught me a lot.
But what propelled you into it?
Can't say that on camera, but lack of fulfillment. Like I said, so the real core reason why I left, I wasn't telling the stories that I wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wasn't telling the stories that are changing lives and are impacting people and are changing perceptions and all that stuff that I told you about.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working out for me. I was busy. We were doing television commercials. We were doing music videos. We were doing a magazine. We were doing a newspaper. I was doing a long table magazine format show. It was all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I was starting to resent the media industry. But as I grow and as I heal from all that, I do realize I could do media again, as long as I'm telling relevant stories. I'm not just telling flimsy stories, but if I'm telling stories about people, about human beings that like are really going through stuff, yeah, I would do it again.
It's actually quite amazing, because most of the guests that I actually have here, especially because they're all successful, they all felt like they were all busy, but still felt like they weren't fulfilled and took a leap.
Yeah.
There's something there. Let's dissect it over the break. Ladies and gentlemen, we're Unchained Business here with Tebatso Kgakge. We'll be right back after this. Welcome to Business Unchained. I'm hanging out with Tebatso Kgakge, and we are dissecting the media industry and her jump into entrepreneurship. Now, what does entrepreneurship mean to you?
What does entrepreneurship mean to me? The provision of service. Yeah.
Commercially?
Of course,
with a little incentive there.
But I say it's the provision of a service, and I don't mean like, oh, you give me and I give you, but I always say business is like ministry. It's service. Like, I don't know, if you're not a Christian, you wouldn't pretty much understand what I mean.
But if you're religious, you would.
Yes.
Yes.
It's serving somebody else because you have something that they need or something that you need.
Okay. Now, in relation to your business, tell us more about actually your business. What's it called? How can we get there?
You see. Okay, so...
The fun stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really fun. But But I'm an independent media and PR and events production manager, right? And I run a business called Trim, and it's expanded and it's difficult to wire down because I'm so diverse. So I find it difficult.
But feel free to unchain it.
Unchained, I like that. Okay, so we do PR, media, and events, and we've now diverted to do tourism, hospitality, and we do event administration and support. By that, we mean that you can plan an event, but we can come in and execute it for you.
Wonderful.
Basically.
Like a middleman type thing. A fixer.
A fixer.
A fixer.
Yes, a fixer. So we come in and we support your event, whether it's picking up boxes that you don't want or it's making, we make people feel good. This is where the PR comes in. We serve people, we help to execute your event, and we just make things better. That's who we are.
Okay. And then financing, did you like get any like government help or was it self-financed?
Yeah, everything is self-financed. I have never got any form of funding. All the funding I get is from my work. I've never been funded by government at all, actually.
But if you had the opportunity, would you actually opt for that?
I actually applied this year and I was rejected.
Is it?
Yeah, and I didn't mind really.
Because life goes on.
Yeah.
You got this.
Yeah.
All right. And then your business, do you operate alone or do you have like a team around you?
Oof, definitely have a team. I am the
Tell us
only
about
director.
that.
I don't have any partners, but I have this phenomenal team called Team Excellence.
Shout out.
Right now, there's about 30 of them, and yeah.
30.
Yes.
Wow, that's major.
Really?
Hey,
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
That's a whole, that's,
Yes.
yeah, that's an empire.
Whatever.
Anyway, so like, have you experienced any downsides during this whole time?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Gosh, when I first jumped into entrepreneurship in 2013, I was just a young, dreaming girl, and I thought things were easy, and I got a rude awakening. And then things didn't go well for many years. Like, I think I was broke for a good 2-3 years, and I had no idea what I was doing because I didn't know who I was. So I was talented, and I had all this experience, but I didn't know what to do with it. And I had no mentor. And then I got really depressed, and I think that really ruined it. I think I stayed unhappy and depressed for too long. If I had guidance and I had mentors, maybe it would have been easier. But I also think, with all due respect, not coming from a family of entrepreneurs, you don't have anybody who's
Yes, you're
so
a template
I'm
of
just
some
this
sort.
crazy girl with a family of corporates, and they're just like, you need to go back to, just find a job, okay? You came from school, find a job, get married, have kids. That's how life works. So I struggled for a very long time, I think until 2017, and I started getting, I guess, well, not 2014, we did the Africa Youth Games, and then that disappeared, and I did Bot 50, and then, yeah, so I kept getting biggest jobs, but I still was a little bit all over the place.
So,
Yeah, because I mean, I think Mo Botswana, when you're multi-talented, people don't know what to do with you. They need to box you. You need to either be PR or just
Or
media
this, that,
or just
yeah.
events. You can't be all three.
I mean,
So-
traditionally, I get we have this thing, I jack of all trades, master. of
Yeah,
none,
yeah,
Which
yeah.
really doesn't make sense anyway.
No, it doesn't. Because I mean, come on, income. Where are you gonna get, multiple income if you've just got one job? So right now I say I failed dismally because I was not used to failing. I was always popular and I always did well in school, and by well I don't mean like A pluses. Just normal, 51 here, just to get just to
Above
get
average.
you through. And I always worked, and I feel like I failed really dismally. So when I failed the first time, failing in business, failing and not doing well and getting money and not knowing what to do with it. Like, I mean, you don't know anything about your finances. I failed dismally and it got really bad until recently where I'm trying to pick up the pieces and make sense of things.
You know, I'm picking up that you're quite the survivor. You know, I'm sure like 70% of anybody that's remotely been in your position throughout your journey has probably given up.
Yeah.
Of some sort or fallen into some sort of depression of some sort. What would your advice be to anybody that is remotely going through what you've been through?
You need to go within. I think business, it can't, creating anything, it has to start from within. That's the reason why I was bad at it or failing dismally at it. It's not what Tumelo says I should do because Tumelo thinks I'm good with PR or whatever. Everything begins within. How I run my business, how I treat my team, where I go, how I handle money, what decisions I make, the kind of clients I keep, the kinds of suppliers I don't want. It all starts within. So I would say to somebody who's going through this, you need to go within. You need to figure out yourself. Who are you? Where are you going? Where do you want to go? You know, building a business is pretty much like building a brand. You can't build the two separately or independently. Everything pretty much revolves around you as a person. So you have to go within. Your mom can't help you with it. Your teacher can't help you with it. Your husband can't help you with it. It's internal work. You have to do the internal work.
All right.
Yeah.
Now that you've found light at the end of the tunnel, how do you balance work, life, and everything? Because you seem pretty busy and managing 30 people.
Yeah, you know. How do I take time out regularly. And by that I mean at the weekend I'll sleep because it's a lot.
Recharge.
So I need to recharge. I sleep, I rest, I read. I build myself mentally and emotionally and spiritually daily. So on a daily basis, even if I'm half asleep, I'll make sure I'm sleeping, listening to a sermon, a Sarah Jakes, and I really like Sarah Jakes.
Something inspirational.
Just something inspirational.
Feel good.
Yeah. You know, it's like the hour before going to bed, Nyana, you know, play something spiritual for 30 minutes, play something business-wise, put the two together. And I think that's how I recuperate, obviously, and I pray. I've had to learn to pray.
Amen. Amen.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen at home, we're going to take a short break as we unchain Ms Tebatso Kgakge. Ms. Kgakge, now, you as an entrepreneur, especially a young lady in business, what's the climate like with men and women in business?
I always say the world wasn't necessarily made for women. It's a little bit unfair, and we all know that when you listen and follow topics on gender equality. But in terms of Botswana, I find it extremely unfair that sometimes men can blatantly say to us, men can blatantly require that you exchange favors for them to give you business. Because the truth is, a lot of men in Botswana are the ones with majority share in businesses. So you literally have to wait. Either it's a give and take. I think I've been lucky to get ethical and clean work, which is why maybe I've taken a bit more time to
get spiritually right.
Yeah, but I mean, to get to where I was, I mean, I left my job in 2013 and I registered in 2016 and it's 2019 and it's only now I'm feeling like, oh, actually, now you can call me an entrepreneur 6 years later.
Business lead.
You know what I mean? I didn't have the confidence and all that stuff. But I think to answer your question in terms of men and women in Botswana, I think it's unfair, understandable why women and other people do it, but it's unfair that you can't just get clean work. I was lucky. My current clients, there's no sense of, I mean, I've had to leave clients who are just like, you're making too much money. I need a share of that. And I'm like, no,
the lion's
it's my
share.
brain.
Yeah.
So do you want to share of my brain? We can do that.
All right. What do you think key policymakers could do to sort of make our business climate better, not just for women entrepreneurs, men, but for also the youth as well?
I think they need to understand business. Botswana is unfriendly when it comes to policies locally and internationally. I run, for instance, an Airbnb. And I recently had a lady, a Swedish lady, who wanted to do business. I actually had a lot of people who want to do business here, but the climate doesn't allow. She's from Sweden. They're organized. They, you know, when you want to speak to somebody, it's not where you have to go to government and there's like a long chain of red tape. And she's just like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to move to South Africa and whatever. So I would say the people in positions need to understand business.
They need to wake up, basically.
Yeah, but we also need to be open-minded. We need to know how, benchmark with other countries and how they do business and the climates there. The world is changing at a very fast rate, and my country is very different, very calm. I love it.
Are you actually active in a lot of our country's things? Like, did you vote last year?
I wanted to, but I was unfortunately registered in Maung. I was in Gaborone when it was happening. I was in the middle of a project, so I wanted to vote. I knew exactly what I was going to vote for. But I couldn't. Exactly, that's another thing. Why couldn't I just go online and say, oh, listen, this is my number. Can I register? Can I vote in Gaborone? I couldn't. It was ridiculous.
Oh, okay. 2020? Where do we see Tebatso Kgakge heading for the next 5 years?
A lot of places. I think if there's anything I learned from my 2-3 year spasm of being dead broken naked is to diversify. So you'll see a lot of diversification, a lot of work in between cities. Like I started with now between Gaborone and Maung. And I'd like to do.
I like how you call Maung a city.
I always.
You're
I never know what to call
developing
it.
it. You're developing
I never
it.
know what to call it. Should I say it's a village? Should I say it's an urban area? What? A lot of diversification, but a lot of mainstream, like a lot of mainstreaming and building the business.
All right, great. Any last things you want to say to the public before we close up?
Be real, be authentic, be yourself. Go within.
Come check out your B&B.
You should.
All right, that's what's up. For any more information, check out our social media pages. We've got information on all our guests. And even if you want to tell us about your entrepreneurship journey or you just want to say hi and chat, you're more than welcome. I'm Tumelo Joa. You've been watching Business Unchained. For myself and the crew, see you next time.